Steve, let's start with you. 2-1, Brighton, away to Brighton. They seem to be the bogey team for you guys at the moment.
Damn.
Danny Welbeck as well, scoring against you. He seems to be coming back. He was clearly not happy with that transfer. But mostly the big shock for me was like, again, he didn't start Delit, the centre back. He still got Maguire running around in there like a headless chicken. Ten Hag, I mean, Ten Hag, man, what's happening here? I mean, it seemed there was all this excitement after the first game,
Yeah.
but now I
Top
think
of the table
a
for
bit of
24 hours.
reality because when you look at it in this way, this is not a new manager. It's not his first season. It's not like he hasn't had this squad to play with for a few years. He's been here after winning the trophy last season as well. I mean, this is a major setback. And again, I mean, come on, tell us what is this nonsense?
Let's not. I think with Manchester United, we have one problem, and that is defensively. We saw Harry Maguire, the defensive mistake he did, and that really costed us. And Danny Welbeck, 100 Premier League goals, and most of them are against Manchester United. Like they all.
Against the team that made him.
Why did we sell him? It's like he always comes back to haunt us. But I was not impressed with the performance. I don't know why we bought Mason Mount. He hasn't delivered. He's not picking up with the pace of the team. Casemiro too slow in the midfield. We need to get that PSG midfielder Manuel Ugarte signing as soon as possible because clearly we don't have a midfield there. We saw the substitution the coach made, Eric Ten Hag removing Bruno Fernandes and replacing him with McTominay. That really killed the morale of the team. And in the second performance, in the second half, I thought we turned the game on its head when we did the comeback. And Zike accidentally touched the ball, which was going anyway back at the net. But I'm hoping we'll bounce back with the Liverpool game, which is a really, really tough game. I'm hoping the boys will at least give a positive response that is at Old Trafford. But Ten Hag, still we have questions over him. Brighton has beaten him 4 times out of 5 matches. I think what saved Ten Hag was winning the FA Cup. We really need to look into this Ten Hag issue because if it's signings, we've given him quality players. He's brought in Delight, he's brought in Mazrui. Why is he still keeping the light on the
Oh
bench?
no no
We
no no!
need
And I have to
to
stop. No, I have to
him.
stop it there. Quality
We need
players.
the light.
No 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 no
The
no.
light
Steve,
is a
Steve,
quality player.
Steve, let me tell you this squad that you had
He
playing
played
here.
for
Apart from Mano, yeah, and I look at this team and I'm like Mano and just Mano, and it's like
And Onana,
maybe I
Bruno
put
Fernandes.
Martinez, maybe I put
Is Bruno
Martinez in there.
Fernandes a joker to you? Is Martinez a
But
World Cup winner
the
a
rest of the
joker to
squad,
you?
let me tell you, from starting from defense, Dalot, Maguire,
Mhm.
Mazrui, Casemiro, Diallo, Mount, Rashford, even Fernandez has been there for quite a while now. So I don't know what everyone is still waiting for him to do still, you know. He still just seems to be wandering around in that Old Trafford squad. But the rest of the players I named, I mean that for me, I feel like Man United somehow you've got like a scouting team, an agent team that are getting kickbacks for signing these overpriced players that no one else seems to be going for. Uh, and Maguire's still playing. Like, this is the joke of a team when you look at it. I don't understand how this team is going to expect to finish in the top four. And I don't even want to name the players on the
you,
bench. That will even shock you even more.
you,
What you
you,
have on the bench. I mean,
Abdi, you have to remember last weekend I said that that game Manchester played against Fulham. It was just by luck they scored that goal at the end of the game, and I say like they don't look like a real challenging team this time. And it was proven when they played against Brighton. You remember the first half, Brighton really played well. They scored, then Man United scored, and then Brighton scored the winning goal. You can see all the defensive how they were, and then I just agree with Steve what he said. Like we need people need to really look into Ten Hag tactics because he just won an FA Cup and people thought now Manchester is back up there. And
Did he
I
win the
agree with
FA
Steve.
Cup or
He said
did he
like
just
now
face an hangover team? What do you mean?
no,
Did he just
He
win
won
the
the
FA Cup or
he won
he
the
just
FA
faced
Cup.
an hangover team?
no,
He won
he
the
won.
FA Cup.
But that's the thing about FA Cup. It's a false. a false ideology it gives to people. It's just a one game, one time match. It doesn't show
But at
any.
the same time, if you watch the way Man City were playing, I think they were just overwhelmed from everything and the celebrations. If Man City were playing the way they normally play, I think we could have seen another Community Shield just between Arsenal and Manchester City. I don't think that could have happened because that game there was no thrill in it. No, I don't despite the fact that they won it. I don't despite the fact
Manchester
that they
United
won
Okay,
it.
but let me just
FA
give you
Cup.
wait, Steve. Let me just give you something, a very important factor, because this is the bit I don't understand. Because I went through the same problem with Arsenal when Arteta was there
Yes.
for 2 seasons. And I'm looking at the points that he was getting and the points that the Premier League title was getting, and you're looking at how to close that gap. And if you got the same players that had that huge gap from last season, so you look at United last season, City won the league 96 points. The top four, Aston Villa was 76 points. Man United finished eighth with 57 points. So even making up that gap to top four is you look at 57 to 76. Yeah.
26. That's
And then you look at that gap and you think to
That's
yourself, okay, how do we close that gap? And what did they do in the transfer window for you to think that now you look at that team that starts now, what's different from that was running around last season? You know? And that's my only thing I'm looking at. And I'm thinking, what does the manager think he's going to get out of them? He couldn't do for the last, what, 2 years? And that's
I
that's
think
that's the, that's the bit I was going to look at, Steve. That's the bit that needs to be answered for.
I think as a team moving on to this season, we've made a bit of signings. We brought in the Lenioro, the Lila defender, who was among the players of the season for the PSG League. I think this is a process that is going to take time. Manchester United is going to get back at its best, but it's not going to happen rapidly. We saw what happened with Arsenal. It took time before you guys were able to get back to your feet and challenge for the title. What happened is we brought in the likes of Ruud van Nistelrooy, who's going to sharpen our strikers. Højlund is injured right now. I know when he comes back, the combination of the link up between him and Zeke is going to be lethal and is going to help our team moving forward. But as Eric Ten Hag said, our coach, before the start of the season, he said our team is not ready, clearly. And I don't understand how our team is not ready. And we've had all the time in the transfer window to make all the necessary transfer we need to make. We've let the likes of Aaron Bissaka go, and we saw the kind of impressive performance he did against West Ham. He did for West Ham the other day. I think as a team, we really need to sit down and lower our expectations. We'll get back to our level base, but it's going to take time. And as far as I'm concerned, Eric Ten Hag is not getting us to that point, because if it's a matter of signings, he's spent a lot of money. And look at the players he buys. He buys the players like Anthony. What has Anthony done for Manchester United? Apart from scoring
Is it
3
him
goals.
or is it the whoever's on the top of the board bringing in that money?
It's about we spend carelessly buying players who we hype so much and that they don't perform, and most of them end up going on injuries and we end up selling them. What's happening to Sancho? We saw how Sancho's playing for Borussia Dortmund on loan. Right now, I hear we want to sell him at Chelsea or Juventus. Yet we don't have substitutes who will compete. We don't have that squad depth. So I think we still have a long way to go. But as a football or a rather Manchester United fan, I'm always optimistic. I know we are not going down without a fight.
I don't know. I think you've been going down without fights. But just to get my correction, before we go to Mumbo, I have to correct my mistake. United got 60 points and fourth place was 68 points and City were 91 points. Mambo. So, I mean, we heard Steve there. There's a lot of false hope, I think, in that voice, but I also there's some fear in there as well. I mean, if they go to Liverpool, Liverpool's
beat
gonna come to
Liverpool.
them next game. If they lose that game at Old Trafford, I mean, it's going to be big problems, isn't it?
Yeah.
Liverpool will dominate and will score because we have seen Rashford. He's not performing. Let's be honest. Even Steve admits, like, what else do you think Rashford will deliver on that day against the defense of Liverpool? If he failed to do it with Brighton, with Fulham, do you expect that he's gonna go and make it? It'll be easy for him to score against Liverpool.
course not.
At times, I think they need I think they need to start with Garnacho instead of bringing him in the second half. The other thing is Casemiro is tired. They should just do away with having Casemiro starting as
Is
the
he
first
tired or
11.
is he too old? He looks like he needs to retire.
He needs to
Casemiro is too
retire.
old.
There, I agree. Casemiro needs to go home because right now, right now, football is for youngsters, and that guy, one day that's gonna split him open. His legs are gonna just break because these small kids are running up and down. But
Man,
for
you
him,
can
he's
compare
running up
the
and down as Abdi was using the phrase. He's running around like I'll use it for Casemiro. He's running around like a headless chicken because the kids are just too impressive. Because look at the likes when you see a person like Maino, how he's playing in the midfield alongside an experienced guy like Casemiro, who's playing not even half of what Maino is playing. Then you ask yourself questions: what is happening? Because and then I'll also criticize Steven a little bit because he's complaining about signings, but I never had Manchester United criticize a player when they sign. They always criticize the player after they sign him and they sign him, and then he fails to perform. They're always excited with the signings they make. So I don't know where the rain starts beating them. But the likes of Casemiro, I think it's time because when you look at last season's bench of Manchester United, then you see someone like this center back they have for since this center back they had for some time. What the name? Skipping my head a bit. This tall guy.
Varane.
Look at Varane. Then there's the other one who played even with Wayne Rooney. This other guy, what's his name?
Evans.
Oh,
Yeah.
Johnny Evans.
Then you have Johnny Evans in your
Oh,
bench.
yeah. I forgot about that joke there.
Man, that's a joke. How do you have such a guy in your
You
defense?
guys are bringing people out of retirement homes.
It doesn't make sense, man. When you have Varane and then you have Casemiro, then you have Evans on your bench. Yeah. And then the person you also have, and then you say is your best, Maguire. You ask yourself some questions. Is this a team I'm going to face? This is a joke.
But honestly,
about it, before you get to it, Steve, yeah, because the worst thing about it as well, which I think is a bigger shocker, is Man United have spent more money than the City have under Guardiola, and Klopp has under Liverpool since they've been at that club and at Arsenal as well. I mean, it's not like, you're having some issues with your budgets or you're doing money cuts or anything. No, it's like, you're spending 80 million on Maguire and spending 70 million on Anthony and spending it's like, and what does Anthony come? He comes to the Premier League and like spins in the circle with the ball. You think
Man,
he's in the cloud
fidget spinner.
show. Like I don't get what I'm seeing here with this team. Like I just look when I look at this squad, like I look at the Man United squad, I'm thinking like, did this team just come from? Did they just get promotion? They look like a club that's just have a squad that have promotion. And Rashford, well, actually, you know what? Let me show him some respect. At least he helps kids in schools. You know what I mean? It's like, but go on, Steve.
I think back to the Casemiro conversation. When you compare him to the midfielders or rather the center defensive midfielders of these other teams, compare him to rather Declan Rice of Arsenal. Compare him to we saw Rodgers of Aston Villa, what he did against Arsenal. What a player, Rodgers, by the way. That was a very, very impressive performance. And now compare him to, even for Liverpool, compare him to their center defensive midfielder. I think Casemiro is too old. I heard there was a proposal from Saudi Arabia. I don't know why he didn't accept that proposal, but I'm hoping before the transfer window closes, we'll be able to sign Manuel.
Because he's not a Muslim. Why does he want to go to Saudi Arabia?
that's where everybody else is going right now for the money, of course. But I hope before the transfer transfer window closes, we'll be able to bring in another center defensive midfielder, that is Manuel Ugarte, who will at least be able to combine or rather link up with Kobe Maino. Because looking at our midfield, honestly, it's only Kobe Maino is the one who can play. But Onana said he's ready to take risks moving forward. So far, he's not faced as much shots as he faced last season. You saw last season was the most. He was the goalkeeper who faced most shots.
I even forgot
And
about your goalkeeper, man. It just gets funnier.
I,
Let's go. Let's go. Okay, look, Mambo. Mambo, we're in the
something I want to tell Steve.
last minutes, Mambo. You finish it off. Give it to us.
No, I'm saying I want to tell Steve to stop building hope with players from Farmers League.
You know what happens is the moment we are able to fix our defense, Mambo, and
Yeah.
we are able to fix our midfield. That is by bringing in Manuel Ugarte. I'm sure 2, 3, 4 matches. Many people are expecting that Liverpool are going to upset us. You saw what happened last season, the kind of performance. This is going to be an exciting match. I'm sure most of these players that you are really criticizing right now, the way Mambo criticized Nicholas Jackson last season, are going to see this video and take the criticism positively.
No, Steve, when you lose the next 4 matches, that means you have lost 12 points. Already you have lost another 3 points. That's 15 points. That's already you are technically out of the top 4.